Okay, I mentioned in class yesterday that I would post a video that really kind of goes over some of the same stuff that we talked about, just so you could refer to it later if you needed to. At the same time, if you missed class or something like that, or you missed part of it, you can come back and take a look at this. Hopefully, it'll help you kind of navigate around the Blackboard shell a little bit better. I'm going to create two videos. One's going to be over Blackboard, show you where things are, how they're kind of laid out. The other one's going to be over the syllabus and a little bit about me, just so you kind of know who I am and what the expectations are for this semester. So this is the Blackboard shell. When I complete this video, it'll be a YouTube video, and the link will be right here. So you'll click on that, and it'll open up YouTube straight to that video. Same thing for the second video, Introductions and Syllabus. That'll be here on the right-hand side. So this is our Blackboard shell homepage. Here's going to be the Twitter feed. Whenever I change something on the homepage, it breaks the Twitter widget. So I'll have to go back and fix that after I'm done uploading these two videos. I'll post various things that I think are interesting to CIS majors specifically, but maybe students in general. It usually is related to security or networking, sometimes education, especially higher ed, things like that. But you can follow me if you want. You don't have to even have a Twitter feed if you don't want to. You can just look at the feeds, the tweets that come through the Twitter feed there. At the bottom of the home page is the information to contact technical assistance and the acceptable use policy. If you're having some sort of an issue with Blackboard, it's usually browser related or Java related. So make sure that you've got the latest version of Java and try a different browser. If neither one of those works, contact the Blackboard help desk. They're extremely good at what they do over there. They can usually help you out over the phone and get most problems taken care of over the phone. If they cannot, they can remote into your machine, and you can watch what they're doing while they do it. It usually just takes them a few minutes, and they can get you squared away that way. So again, if you want to get back to the home page, you'll just click Home over here. This is our navigation structure here on the left-hand side, so that'll get us right back to home. The next one, which we'll talk about in the other video, is the syllabus link, which is a Google Doc. You can open that up right there and take a look around. Same thing for the schedule link. It's another Google Doc. You can open that up and look and see what's due, when, things like that. Most students are interested in this next part, the deliverables, and that's what you're going to have to turn in to be able to get your grades this semester. So there's actually 3 of these. You can only see 2 at this point. Once the exams are populated, they'll pop up there, and we'll talk about those a little bit more here in just a second. Assessments are here. Assessments are essentially quizzes. There's 1 quiz for each chapter, so there's 12 quizzes, plus a syllabus quiz, which counts just like any other quiz, and then a pretest and a post-test. Pre-test and post-test does not matter how you score, or how well you score, or how poorly you score. They're worth 25 points. If you do it, you're going to get your points. Excuse me, I believe I need to correct this. I believe it should be 25 points, not 5 points. So if you do it, you're going to get 25 points. If you don't do it, you're not going to get those points. So regardless of how many you get correct, as long as you do it, that's what you're going to get. Basically what will happen is you'll take the pretest. I use that as a gauge of what is your understanding coming into the class. At the end of the semester, you'll take the same exact test, and that way I can see how far you've come over the course of the semester. At the same time, for both the pretest and the post-test, the very last question, it's marked as an extra credit question. What all it is it's a way for me to share a link with you, and it's a link to an external survey. On the pretest, it's a link to a survey that will tell me about your learning style. On the post-test, it's a link to an assessment that will tell me about how my online course materials are. In other words, what is it that I'm doing? Can it be better? What's good? What's not good? And I use that to help improve my offering. It's separate of what the university teacher evaluation survey is, but this is really more for me specifically so that I can help improve my classes. So please do both of those, but that's the purpose behind them. The post-test, by the way, does not show up yet. It'll show up roughly that last week of class. because I want you to kind of get through most of the class before you start rating me on it. Homework is right here, and your very first homework assignment, HW0 or homework 0, is really just an information sheet that you need to fill out, an information form. So there's nothing to print out or attach or anything like that. Just go click on that, and if you want to see what the form actually, the live form looks like, it's right there. So just fill that out, select your course, which is that one right there, your student ID, etc. Fill all that stuff out and submit it, as well as this other stuff. So you're going to create a Google, if you've already got a Google account, great. If you don't, create a Google account, create a folder following this naming convention. I'm trying to be very specific about that naming convention, because I moved that your shared folder that you share with me into my folder structure, and so I need that naming convention followed very closely. So follow those instructions, and that homework assignment counts just like any other homework assignment, so it should be a very easy grade for you. Just follow those directions closely. Everything else is posted in Blackboard, but it's not actually done in Blackboard. So I use these basically as placeholders in the grade book in Blackboard, so you can check your score and see where you are throughout the semester. We'll talk more about your grades when we get to the syllabus. So you'll come here for homework 1, you can click on that link and it'll open up your SAM login page, and once you do that you can go log in, and I'm going to switch over to student view so we can talk about that a little bit more specifically. Right now, the way it's enabled, it shows everything that you've got coming up, and that can be a little tedious, so I'm going to click on all these and turn them all off. And something else I want you to note is up here in red dots show when something is due. The black box shows you when assignments are available. So you'll notice that things started being available the very first day of class. And so that's all the stuff that you're seeing. The first thing that's due is next Tuesday, and that's homework 1 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it gives you instructions. Each task completed before attempting it, etc., etc. 5 attempts, yada, yada, yada. So basically what will happen is you'll complete the assignment, you'll upload the file, it'll give you feedback about what you got correct and what you got incorrect. Once you've done that, you've got 4 more attempts. So the information that you get back about stuff that's incorrect, go back and correct it and resubmit that file. So there's a real good chance that you should do very well on your homework assignments. In fact, you should get 100%. So the first thing I'd recommend is if you've got, if you only have a single monitor, I would print out the instructions. If you've got 2 monitors, then simply open up the instructions on a separate monitor so that you've got them both right there. So we'll go ahead and open these instruction files, and basically you can see everything that it's going to do. First thing they're going to have you do is download the starter file. So that's the starter file that we see right here. And you'll note that it has a very specific name to it. This is a document that's specifically tied to your account. There's code in the document that makes it very difficult for you to be able to share your file with somebody else and then submit it as their work. So while I encourage you to work to get together, I think students learn better by doing that. Make sure you're submitting your own work. It will cause a problem. It submits a trouble ticket to me whenever a file has been previously submitted by another student. So the first thing they'll have you do is download that file, and then the very next thing they have you do is change the name. You'll notice everything stays exactly the same. The only thing you have to change is the 1 to a 2. Do not, as per this hint right here, do not write .docx at the end of that. That's already there. Even if you don't see it, it's already there. So do not include the .docx. It will cause a problem, and it won't accept that file because it'll think it's the wrong file. A couple other files that you're going to need for this particular assignment are these 2 files right here, and they are located right here. So again, if you just go through and follow these instructions very carefully, my advice, I've got a couple pieces of advice that will really help make this a little bit easier process for you. First, go step by step. Start at the very beginning and do the very first step and complete the first step before you move to the second step. Students who have a tendency to bounce around tend to miss one of the steps, and that causes a problem when they submit the file. The other piece of advice that I have for you is at the very bottom, it gives you an image of what the completed project should look like. In the past, when I've used SAM, students have had a tendency to want to skip down to see what the file is supposed to look like, and then they spend all their time trying to make it look like that rather than following the instructions. If you follow the instructions step by step, it will end up looking like this anyway. So save yourself some headache, and follow the steps one by one until you get to the very end. Once you get to the end, and you should do this every time, check spelling and grammar in the document. There's specific errors in there already, so you should find a few errors, and then save it and go back and follow the rest of the instructions. Go ahead and down here at the very bottom, it's got the name of the file the way it should be. Again, it's the _2. Choose the file and navigate to wherever it was that you saved that file. Speaking of navigation, my recommendation is that when you go to download these instructions and all these, my recommendation is that you save all these into a specific folder so that all the files are in one folder together. You might separate them out by week or by assignment or something like that, but you don't want these files, all these individual files, all over your desktop. It'll get confusing quickly. So that is it as far as SAM, and my advice is to, as I mentioned in class, work ahead a little bit. So get started on these assignments and start getting through them as quickly as you can. Get a couple under your belt, and then you can start to back off a little bit. We'll go ahead and log out of SAM there. Okay, so that's the homework assignments, and they're all already posted. You're free to go ahead and start working ahead. And like I said, I would recommend getting ahead by a week or so. Announcements. This is a face-to-face class, so I'm not going to post an awful lot in the way of announcements. I probably will, but not quite as much as I would if it were an online class. We meet twice a week for the most part, so if I have anything I need to share, I'll be there, or I'll mention it in class. If something does come up, though, expect an announcement. Course messages. If you need to send a message, if it's course related, works just like regular email for the most part, except that it's contained within Blackboard. Go to create message, to find me, and send it to me, or send it to your peers if you've got something direct that you want to discuss with them. If it's course related and you want to send me a message, send it to me here in Blackboard. I want everything that's related to the course enclosed here in Blackboard. If it's outside of the content of the class, if it's about another class that you're interested in taking, if it's about a job or something of that nature, a recommendation, you can certainly feel free to email me through regular email channels. But if it's course related, I want it sent to me here in Blackboard. Other items that are down here, something I did not have enabled yesterday but I do now, is the calendar. And you can use that to kind of keep track of what's due when. So for example, tomorrow we've got 3 things that are due. Very first one is the syllabus quiz, the assessment 0, AS 0, the syllabus. We've also got HW0 due. So it should be a nice graphical way to kind of show you what you've got due and when, and help you keep track of that. Kind of keep track of those various days. We tend to have things due on Tuesday. That's kind of how it worked out in this class. PowerPoints, if you like to follow along with PowerPoints, they're available there. You're free to print them out if you want. Personally, I would probably try to avoid that if I were you, but it's up to you. But I know that some people prefer PowerPoints. They like to follow along, and they use them as study guides and things like that. So they're available to you there. Your grades you'll be able to track right here. As I mentioned in class, I'm not a fan of the Blackboard gradebook. I'll try to clean this up some just so you can kind of follow along at home, but I'm just not a fan of it. But you'll be able to follow along in the syllabus. Essentially, for AS1, for example, assume you get 100%, I'll pop in 100 for your grade. It'll show 100 out of 100 here. So just worry about that first grade, that 100. That's what I'll put into my official grade book, and you can follow along with the breakdown in the syllabus and keep track of your grades that way. The textbook has a website as well. You do not have to use it. I put the link out there for you if you're interested. If you just want additional ways to study, they have crossword puzzles available, flashcards, etc. So it's something else that you can take a look at and prepare for the exams that are related directly to the text. So that's up to you. You don't have to use that, but I put it out there for you. I have various social media sites if you're interested. You don't have to follow any of these, or go to any of these. This is a link directly, probably should be a link directly to my homepage, but this is a link directly to my networking class that I teach. And you're free to go and take a look at some of that information. The Google Plus link, which is the Google Plus Learning Community, is here. Especially if you're a CIS major, I recommend you join it. It's basically a place where previous students that I've had kind of get together. They share if they run across tools or jobs or things like that. They'll post information in there. So there's a variety of different things that you'll see in there. So again, you don't have to, but it is a nice little thing to do. YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. And then the last link, I believe, is the Blackboard Help link. You can take a look at that. I don't personally like to use that all that much. If I have a question, I usually call over to the help desk real quick. They can answer my question a lot quicker than I can find it through the Blackboard Help. But that's posted there, and eventually it will come up. So that is our Blackboard course. Again, if you want to get back to the home page, simply click on Home there. It'll take you back to our home page. When this video is complete, I will post the link right there for the Blackboard introduction, and as soon as that's done, I will move on to the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to give me shoot me an email or a course message to me. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow in class, and you can ask then. So take care. Have a good one.